Welcome to part 2 of the Retro 21 Studios podcast featuring NFL and Stanford University Hall of Famer Toi Cook.
And why is that? I think it's pretty obvious. I don't think there has to be any negativity. The NFL is a fantastic business. It's generated revenue for people all across walks of life. The fact that we're even doing this podcast is courtesy of the football, right?
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean they're right all the time. It doesn't mean they can't fix, because they're the kings of fixing stuff. They need to fix this. And then the world will be whole again.
Absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned some of those big hitters, right? When the game and out of Chicago, Doug Plank and Finsick.
Oh, yeah. That whole 86 team, Wilbur Marshall, Mike Singletary, all those guys. Durson, Dave, rest in peace, Dave Durson, right? Player rep. Those guys were laying the thunder. And then I play golf with Jim Plunkett, who having memory issues, right? He should be in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Jesse Sapula should be in the Hall of Fame. But Jim Plunkett, he took, like, all those guys. All I can say is, where is the Crunch Course tapes?
Right.
And where are NFL's greatest hits tapes? We need to find those, and let's just start watching them again.
And get some perspective, right?
Yeah, you see it every week. I go back to, once again, the steroid era.
Yep.
It's 3rd and 20. Tom Brady throws a long pass to the left. The receiver's covered. Wait a second. There's a penalty over here on the right. Illegal hands to the face on the corner. He hit the guy in the face, 5 yards. Automatic first down. What? It'll be like 3rd and 25. How did that how's that an automatic first down?
How is
now
it
you're
an
going to
automatic?
give Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, another opportunity? Then I go, if Joe Montana, John Elway, Dan Marino, if they played under these same rules now, Jerry Rice might have 300 touchdowns. Right? The records. So I don't want to hear about he's throwing for these. It ain't the same.
Different game.
It's a different game.
On the technology front, instant replay and the red flag. I can't remember when the red flag came out. That's fairly recent. Any thoughts on that? Has that improved the game, sped it up?
Listen, we used to say this all the time. How you going to have every camera angle? And then back in the day, when the referees blew it, they wouldn't show the thing. Now they can't. Too bad they don't have cameras covering our politics, where we can hit instant replay and say, hey, listen, we got to throw a red flag, right? Because what happened is not what happened. To me, all of this is driven by betting, right? It's all driven by betting because you can't have millions upon millions of dollars being transferred all over and then have it be blown on a call, right? And oh, by the way, that ain't the NFL saying that. That was those people from Vegas saying that.
Yeah.
So look, if we're going to make all this investment, we got to get it right. So it ain't because you want to do the right thing. It's a part of the business. And I think it's all for the better. It's all for the better.
That's great. So what's Toi Cook doing today? Super Bowl winner. You have that experience.
Stanford Hall of Famer.
Stanford Hall of Famer.
Baseball, yeah. I am a advisor, consultant to a startup technology company called Game Changer Analytics. The CEO is Ralph Boudouin. We're in the middle of raising $4 million. It's a data analytics company, puts sensors on your body, and we track your movement. We help to mitigate injury. It's like TrackMan, right? Or if you want to think about EA Sports and the way they create the athletes running around with the golf balls, take all those golf balls off, and we got 12 sensors on you, right, that are that big probably. Million film. And then we're able to map you and show how you're moving and increase all the efficiencies that we're looking for. So you can imagine it would help in baseball, it would help in tennis, it would help in golf, it would help in track. We have a bunch of track coaches signed up in colleges. We have 60 teams signed up in South America, soccer. Ralph he's from Chicago also, but is of Haitian descent. Went to Illinois and then Santa Clara, and lives in Palo Alto, East Palo Alto. Right.
Okay.
So my joke is, wait a second. I always tell him, wait a second. You're going to tell me I have a data analytics technology sports company, and not only is the CEO black, he lives in East Palo Alto, right here. Usually
Right
I
in the
run into these
neighborhood.
guys. They live in Minnesota, or they live in Austin, or they're in Miami, or they're not even LA. Right? It's hard to raise money for someone that lives in LA. Typically in the startup phase, you want to try to get people that are close, friends and family. And we are in a technology, but this guy Ralph has 10 patents. And I believe him to be what I call the male hidden figure, right? Because one of the things that we've discovered as I've been working with him is how many black tech founders in Silicon Valley, how many startups have been started by a black tech engineer?
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, that number is small.
And then I always go, Ralph, how many of you did you see? He goes, I was usually the only one in the room, right? And so I go, all right, so once again, I'm used to being first. So you're going to tell me you're going to be the first? We're going to be the first, right? We're going to be the first company started in Silicon Valley by black, and it's the CEO's black. We just picked up, I can't talk about it right now, but we have a significant board member coming who's a black woman. And it's all in tech, and it's wrapped around AI. Yeah, no, it's really cool. And here's a story. Brody Van Wagenen, who was the general manager of the New York Mets, is now the head of Rock Nation Sports. But before that, he was at CAA Sports in their baseball. Brody and I used to work at Broadband Sports, which had Athletes Direct, which brought athletes directly to the customer. They have their own websites. This had to be 97, 98. 2004, I started the Gersh Agency Sports, which Gersh Agency is still the second oldest agency in Hollywood. And then CAA Sports launched 2 weeks later. Sports is out of business. CAA Sports is the number one sports agency in the world.
Wow.
Wow, I had great success in the football of being picked by the Saints. I talk about this. When I got drafted by the Saints, they were in the NFC West, which meant that they played the Rams and the Niners 4 times a year. So twice every year I'm coming back to LA and I'm coming back to San Francisco for the Saints for 7 years. So when the Saints would come back and play the Niners and we're playing in Candlestick and they would introduce the defense and they would be like, in Toi Cook, Stanford, there'd be like smattering of people cheering.
Right.
Yeah, the Stanford people in New Orleans. I mean, in San Francisco. Then I play for the Niners, right? And then I play for Carolina, who was in the NFC West, who, even though we played the Rams, we still came back. So for my whole 11 years, I always came back and played in San Francisco. Tom Brady is from here, and in 20 years, it's only been back twice.
Wow.
So if I had been drafted, whether it be in the Central or the East or an AFC, I may not, because you want to be where you won a Super Bowl. Right? So I played for the Patriots, and if I won a Super Bowl, I better be in Boston.
That's right.
The Super Bowl here ain't carrying weight. You got to go where that Super Bowl is. Thank the Lord I won one here, right? I just happened to win a College World Series. So when I walk around the Stanford campus, he got a College World Series, and he was on the last Niner team.
Yeah, your goal there.
That's right. That's right.
Toi, just flashing back on your startup and AI. And so one of the focuses of this podcast and my background is in technology. And so the AI aspect resonates with me in a big way. And so you guys are doing data analytics and within the context of sports, you guys are doing research right now. And then it sounds like there's a sell for the data, as well as there could be products associated with that, injury prevention, the mechanics of to help improve one's performance in sports. It just seems like it's wide open there.
Okay. That's the sports side. Then there's a workman's comp side.
Yes.
For the insurance, B2B, right? So think about all the Amazon workers, the injury prevention. workman's comp claims. So we will be very attractive to the insurance companies, we believe.
Okay.
We should get you on the phone with Ralph. Because I believe in connections. I've been reading about the cluster of connections and the value of connections. That's what LinkedIn is. I told Ralph. So I have a natural cluster of Stanford people, right? I got us partnered with AWS because Howard Wright is the head of global startups, and he's in the Stanford Hall of Fame, and he's 2 years younger than me, but I know Howard. So Howard, hey, I got a company. I need you to look at this. And he saw it and was like, damn, got another Jill Nelson Florent who works for QuickSight on Amazon. That's her thing. We're using QuickSight. I'm the same class as Jill, right? We're the class of 87. We sat on that committee together for our 35th reunion. So it's just, Steven Spielberg talks about this, having the same group of people that he uses, editors, cinematographers, so they all understand the language. That's right. I have that cluster. Then Ralph and I have the diversity cluster, right? And then there's one more. There's a Haitian cluster. I joke with him because our board member's Haitian. He's Haitian. I go, I might be Haitian. And then the joke is I might be 10% Haitian. According to 23andMe, that's what I hope.
That's right.
I'm like 3% Haitian. But the other cluster is Chicago.
Okay.
We actually, the owner of the Chicago Sky is a partner, is going to be a partner. I can say that because he'll confirm it. But so there's this thing about, I left Chicago. All my family's kind of from Chicago. My cousins are Chicago. And I believe that the good Lord is bringing me back to Chicago through Ralph. And then the fact that you were in Chicago and lived there for 20 years, you and Ralph will be able to talk about. My uncle worked with an L train. My other uncle was Chicago PD. Yeah. So I love cops. My uncle was a cop. My other uncle was a cop. He died on the line of duty. They're not all good, but not all people are good either. But we need them. We need them.
I love the cluster, right? Yeah. And it just expands, right? My wife has her PhD from University of Chicago. And that's a whole nother cluster.
Another cluster.
Yeah. Wow. We could spend a lot of time on that conversation.
Hey, listen, all you got to, I believe in Malcolm Gladwell's The Tipping Point.
What's the next steps for you guys? I know you're fundraising.
I want to say like October 27th. We're doing a demo. The goal is I want to get some nil ambassadors. So I believe that the ceiling, like, we can't help with the men's sport in terms of economic growth. We can participate in it, but we can't really help. But where we can help it is on the female sports, specifically women's pro basketball, women's pro soccer. Their salaries need to be jacked up to $1 million minimum, $5 million for the superstars. And they're like, wait a minute, where is that going to come from? No one watches television. And I said, because we don't pay them.
That's right.
You pay a girl $5 million. I want to see that girl.
Right. Yeah.
You got to reverse the psychology to participate in. Look, here's the joke. I always go to the investors. I go, do you want to be part of the 22? What do you mean the 22? The 22 people that said yes to Jeff Bezos and Amazon, or do you want to be part of the 78 that said no? Right. This is what I'm comparing this to. I believe this guy, Ralph Boudouin, in GCA is going to be a decacorn. Yeah. Because it touches so many things that everyone you talk to, they like when you have a bad idea, but that's a bad idea. You have a good idea, everybody wants to contribute.
That's right.
You can do this. You can do that.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
And I told Ralph, I said, listen, I'll send you a deck. Like, I would send a deck, and then I don't follow up. I don't go, did you get the deck? And they're like, you're supposed to follow up. You're supposed to reach out to 100 people. And I go, I don't believe in that. I don't need to reach out to 100 people. I only need to reach out to 3. And I told Ralph, the first time I met him, I said, you're going to get 3 meetings, right? And if I can't get you yes or some kind of momentum after 3, then I'm probably not the guy. So the very first meeting I set him up was with one of our biggest boosters, Jesse Rogers, who's like a billionaire, right? I took him in there, and he brought in the orthopedic surgeon, the 49ers, Ben Peterson, who runs their performance, and a guy, Alan Smith, who's starting his own Capital, black offensive lineman, who played with Andrew Luck. And we're in there, and I heard him and the CEO, Hilton Howard, because I was a player rep. So for 11 years, so I saw players yell at Gene Upshaw and the board. That's like sitting in the board meeting on the executive committee. Why are we free agent? Why are we? And they would always give answers. And every time I'd be like, Gene's right. That's why I always say this. Gene's right. I've never heard Gene Upshaw answer someone and go, Gene's wrong. Right? He was usually right about that stuff. And sitting there, I said, he's right. He's right. Ralph is right. And when you have kids, if they're not going to private school or one's a baller, right, you're either paying a coach for extra training, right?
That's right.
Now you'll be able to put something on your kid, and they'll go do their drills, and then you'll be able to see them move in the drills. And then in the future, what we're going to probably do is, because we're going to sign up athletes, right? And as part of, my joke is, I believe that Ralph Boudouin is actually Miles Benedict Dyson from Terminator. Right? Because, and I always give him the laugh when I do this, became self-aware in 2023, because what we're going to do is we're going to take Christian McCaffrey or any athlete, and we'll be able to map them. We'll be able to have them work out and map them. And then you, the consumer, can compare yourself against the mapped out version and work out. You can see other athletes and how they work out. So it's almost like a LinkedIn. It's a cluster, right? There's a lot of applications that work in terms of, and this is what I'm saying. So once we get to Christian McCaffrey and those movements, and AI takes over, and then they're able to start mapping. The next step is to add it to robotics.
That's right.
So then soon you'll have robots moving like Christian McCaffrey. Yep. And that's going to be the next evolution of football, like Robot Wars, is what I think.
Oh, that's going to be crazy.
Well, we wrote a script called Gridiron Warriors, and it's about the future. It's about these. In the future, these guys come back in the future to take the DNA of today's players. I had the rights through Gene to do this, and we were going to do it with EA Sports. This is when I was playing. And I wanted to do it at the Super Bowl where, and you've seen the commercial, where it looks like someone's coming. They did it in Tomorrow War, where it looked like some people came from the future during a game. They did it in Batman, too, where the thing opened up. But anyway, these guys come from the future. They snatch some of our top players off the thing. This is how we're going to get the NFLPA, because you need the players. You only take 6 players. We take their DNA, and then they create these robots. Because in the future, football fields are played on, they're like a mile long, right? And the winners of these games, you win planets. Right. So this was like, we're trying to do this whole Marvel comic thing. Now that I've met Ralph, I actually believe it, right? What are we going to do literally? I think the stuff that the data we're collecting are going to be used for robots that one day may take over the world.
This was fantastic. I appreciate you taking the time. Good seeing you. Thank you so much. Have a good one, man.
You too, brother.